Okay guys, so I'm just making me my summer body butter, and I don't like body butters, heavy body butters. So this is a light body butter that I'm making, and it is hermatant, and it is going to be not as greasy. This is to degrease type of body butter, because as we all know, that's just some mica I put in there in my butters. And then I have my hermatant oils, and sorry, I have my esters in there. That is going to give me a dry, nice butter. And this is the color I'm going for. This is a very special recipe. I'm going to add my fragrance. I want to touch on something with body butters, okay? For those of you who are making body butters and you are shipping it, or you have it in a very hot place, you do need to consider what type of container you want to put it in, because let me get a container that I think is best to put your body butters in. Okay, so I have here this fantabulous plastic jar. You see, Lush uses this plastic jar for a reason. They send out products and you don't know where you're sending your products. It could sit in a truck or wherever, in a warehouse. I also have this glass. Okay, this is a glass jar. And if you're shipping, you need to consider something that is going to not sweat. Like jars, let me show you. Like these type of jars here, when they're sitting out in a place with heat, it tends to sweat. And you know what happens when things sweat? It creates a moist environment, and it creates basically it creates a bit of water in your product. So some people I've seen complain about having mold in their anhydrous butter. These are butters that are not made like a lotion, because lotions involve water, emulsifiers, and your oils and butters and your fragrance, right? So you have to consider, when you're making these products and you're going to sell them, you want to test your product throughout the year. Honestly, you do. You want to test it for stability throughout the year, so that you will know what happens. And how do you test your products? Do you test it on yourself? Sure, you can test it on yourself, but you need unbiased opinions. Okay, what I do, I don't sell as yet, but what I'm doing is I send my products to various people who don't know me. They're not relative, they're not family, so their opinions are going to be unbiased. And let me give you an example. I sent a lotion out. I sent it to the States. I'm in Canada, and they showed me that the lotion I sent it in was a plastic jar, and the plastic jar sweat, and all that moisture turns into droplets of water. So I also, when you're choosing a preservative, you have to know what preservative you're using. I wasn't worried about it, because the preservative that I choose to use in that product, I know if it gets really hot to a certain degree, the preservative will still remain intact. It will not affect the preservative, especially with heat. That preservative works well with heat. So you have to think about a lot of things when you're making products. So that lotion was fine. I wasn't worried about it having the droplets, because I know the preservative that I use in there covers you know, the fact that it was sweating. But I'm changing my containers. I'm changing to, and if you get a really, this will not sweat in heat. It doesn't sweat in heat. Doesn't sweat in heat. I mean, it has to be like torturing hot. But I can pretty much, I'm gonna be testing this and sending them to the Caribbean, because the Caribbean now, that is a hot place. So and I have to change again. I'm looking for this I'm gonna be using my not a preservative that works for products being sent to the Caribbean. So you need to really think. Don't think because you're making butters and you're putting oils together, that's it, and you don't have to worry about certain things. If you are making anhydrous butters, meaning butters without water, and you are putting, let's say, some kind of a starch in there, that can also mold if there's droplets and such in there. That can form mold and fungus in your product. So I don't use starch. There's esters out there that you can use if you want your product to be less greasy. There's esters that you can use. You can use you can use certain products out there specifically for making anhydrous bad products. Some people think they don't need a preservative, but if you're having a product that's sweating a lot, collecting a lot of moisture inside of the container, you will have problems. Anyways, let me get this started. Where's my goodness gracious. Okay, let's add this. Ooh, this is pretty hot. This is so hot, I forgot to use my paper towel. Okay. Hi guys, so this is my body butter, and I'm being very selfish. This is all for me. Look at that. And this body butter is my summer body butter. I have cocoa butter in here. For the butters, I have cocoa butter and shea butter. And this is I'm gonna test this out. This does not melt in it has to be extremely like, I'm talking 200 and something Fahrenheit for this to melt. Okay, so let's try out some of this butter. I'm gonna take a little bit, a tiny bit, because I just washed my hands, and I'm going to wrap that in there, which I think that in itself is like a lot, but it goes on to the skin so nicely. No dry, no oiliness. It's not at all oily, and it has a nice silky feel to it. And bam. Yes, ma'am. Oh my god, don't pay attention to my old hands. Oh, it feels so nice. You just keep wanting to rub and rub and rub. And if I keep rubbing myself, I get red in our I get red. Look like I have a horrible rash. So yeah, okay. That's it, guys. And this smells like bubble gum. Bubble gum, bubble gum, bubble gum. And it's all for me. All of this is mine, and I'm going to pipe it into the container.